Hello and welcome to Trinity Lutheran Church. I am Pastor Will, and today is Friday, July 22nd, 2022, and we are celebrating a very special day within the Lutheran Church. Today is the Feast of Mary Magdalene. Now, first things first, let's clarify who we are talking about, because Mary was one of the most common names for women in Jesus' time. As a result, the Marys kind of flow together in our biblical stories. And there are two main Marys that get mentioned a lot in the Gospels. The first is Mary, the mother of Jesus, and the other is Mary Magdalene. While each has a unique place within the story of Christian faith, our interest today is Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is best known for four main things, two of which are not true. The first is prostitution. Then we have the possibility of being a lover of Jesus Christ, encountering the risen Lord, and being a leader within the church. The prostitution myth arose from a selective reading of texts that reinforce patriarchal stereotypes, and this is going to be a pretty common theme when you look at Mary. In Mark 16:9 and Luke 8:3, it says that there were 7 demons within Mary before Jesus excised them. And also, there were a number of women that went with the disciples, helping and supporting them and Jesus. This support is believed to have a fiscal component to it, and since Mary Magdalene is usually listed first, it would make sense that she was the most important of the women and thus may have had some significant financial resources. Significant financial resources and a woman with 7 demons combined together in the minds of ancient theologians kind of blew their mind. They didn't know what to make of it. The only way they could make it work was to call her a prostitute. This is false. There is no evidence that Mary ever engaged in prostitution. The possibility of being a lover of Jesus Christ emerged from popular reading, thanks a lot, Dan Brown, and some Gnostic writings. If you want to see Dan Brown's part, read the books, watch the movies. In the Gnostic passages, Jesus would pull Mary aside and talk specifically with just him and her. The other disciples would get jealous and complain, and given the inherent patriarchy of the time, the idea that Jesus would spend time with a woman and not the disciples as a whole led people to speculate that there may have been something more to their relationship. Again, this is false. There is no evidence that there was a romantic relationship between Jesus and Mary. Encountering the risen Lord for the first time is true. All of the Gospels tell a similar story of Mary Magdalene alone or Mary with another group of women who went to the tomb after Jesus' death to put spices in and around them. They discovered that the stone that covered the tomb had been rolled away. They had to then go and tell the other disciples what had happened. So these women became the very first evangelists of the good news of Jesus Christ, that Jesus had conquered the grave. Being a leader in the church is also true. Now, the biblical accounts of her leadership after the resurrection are limited to non-existent. But there are a number of extra biblical sources that indicated her importance to the church in its earlier stage. Had it not been for a strong vein of patriarchy, we probably would know more about her leadership within the church. And while the details may be lost, we remember Mary for the devotion and evangelism. If not for Mary, we would not have an account of the resurrection. If not for Mary, Jesus and the disciples would have had a much more difficult time spreading the good news of God.